And a very good evening to you, and welcome to Politics 101 on a Thursday evening, our weekend edition. Good evening to you if you're joining us from Guyana. Guyana, the land of our birth. Guyana, the land that belongs to all of us, regardless of our social class, our religion, our ethnicity. Guyana belongs to us. All of Guyana belongs to all of us. Good evening, Guyanese. Good evening, Guyanese in Guyana. How about the good people of Linden? The good people of Linden. Good evening. Good evening to Mocha, Arcadia. Good evening to the Namstel. Good evening to my own village, Buxton. Good evening to all the villages, wherever you are. Welcome to Politics 101. Welcome to Politics 101. Tonight, we're going to continue our coverage of Mocha. We're going to hear some perspective. You've been hearing my perspective. Tonight, we're going to hear the perspective of others. We have in the studio already Pastor Nigel London, Apostle Nigel London. No stranger to you, no stranger to the topic that we've been covering these last 2 weeks. Government demolition of homes. Welcome to Politics 101. Please share the link. Please share the link. We are covering this issue. We continue to cover this issue because it's an important issue. It's a marker. It's a marker. It's a marker. Last night, when I finished Politics 101, I was on Globespan Live with other guests, among them Ravi Dev, Dr. Betaram Ramarak. They're two well-known Indian rights activists. Dr. Blackman was on, a professor, Guyanese professor in Brooklyn. And the program was moderated by Dion Abrams of the WPA. And one of the issues we dealt with, of course, was Mocha. And our Indian brothers were talking about squatting. And talking about eminent domain. And suggesting that we on the opposition have politicized what's happened in Mocha, have racialized what happened in Mocha. And I had to set the record straight. How can you accuse us of politicizing politics? Race is about politics. Government action is about politics. What are you telling me about politicizing? You see, we have reached a point in Guyana, as I said here before, that every cow must cry for its calf. I said it at the end of the program to my friends, Ravi and Betaram, that not one Indian public voice in or out government has said unequivocally that what the government did in Mocha is wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong without qualification. If you can watch the government demolish the homes of people of the other ethnic group, and you cannot give them unqualified solidarity, You know, Rafi was telling me that he wrote about the girl who the police knelt down on. And I had to say, Rafi, you fudged it. Because you talked about it and then you talk about government right. If something is humanly wrong, it's humanly wrong, and you must say it's wrong regardless of whether you support the government. I spent my youth opposing a black government, which eventually fell. When another black government came to power in 2015, I voted for that government. But every time that government did something that was wrong, I said it was wrong. That government fired me. After working for 4 months in the Ministry of Social Cohesion, the coalition government fired me. Lincoln Lewis and I were fired from Chronicle because we said to the government when it was wrong, it was. And if I pass anything on to African Guyanese, is that you must be people of conscience. You can vote for a government, but if it's wrong, it's wrong. You criticize your own government out of love. As I said, the coalition government fired me twice. It didn't matter. I continued to say they were wrong. And I voted for them in 2020. Again. I was a candidate for them in 2020 again. I want to set an example to Guyana. That when you're in public life, you must be able to say wrong. And the measure of whether someone is racist or not racist, apart from the fact that if you believe your race is superior, then you're racist. If you use power, political power, economic power, institutional power to put in place your personal prejudice, you're racist. Quite apart from that, my other measure of whether one is racist or not is whether when your people or your government representing your people is wrong, whether you have the courage to tell them they're wrong. From UC Guyana to Walter Rodney and Dandaye and Bonita Harris, to Takumo Ogunsevelines and Dion Abrams and Tilaki Amsterdam. We are a set of black people, public black people, who have had the courage, not once, twice, to say to a government of our skin color, you are wrong, you are wrong when you are wrong. Where are the Indian Guyanese voices outside of those who belong to opposition parties? Outside of those who belong to the AFC and the PNC and the WPA? Where are the other Indian Guyanese voices? Where are the black voices in the PPP? Where are the Indian voices in the PPP? Where are the Indian voices in civil society? You mean not one of them could give clear and unequivocal solidarity with the black sufferers at the Amstel, Mocha, or those who were hauled from in front of the hospital and had their businesses demolished, or at Amelia Ward in Linden? Where are those Indian voices? They stand condemned. I don't know whether they're racist, but their own humanity must come under question. The test of your humanity is not only solidarity with those of your ilk, of your religion, or your race. It's better. You also can identify with the pain of people of other races. And you tell me that we are politicizing Mocha. Well, when the 7,000 workers, well, they weren't 7,000, but they said 7,000. When the 3,000 to 4,000 workers were laid off from Gaisuku, and all the Indians inside and outside of the PPP argued that it was an assault on Indian people, were you not politicizing government action? The hypocrisy boils over. It's okay for Indian leaders to politicize the action of black governments against Indian people. But we black people shouldn't do this. Oh, my brother Ravi said last night, the opposition must be mature. Did he say that to Jack Gill and them? They were carrying on about the 3,000-4,000 people who were knocked off? No. Why the opposition must be matured? Is the opposition that bulldoze people's houses? No. Oh, they say we are weaponizing the Mocha situation. Who used the weapons against the Mocha people? Is it us or is it them? Who is weaponizing Mocha? I love my brothers on the other side because I come from a culture of love. But I have to point out their hypocrisy, their inconsistency, their disregard and disrespect for black pain. I'm glad I went there last night to say my piece, Good evening, welcome to Politics 101. Well, you know, whoever created laughter, the Almighty God or whoever created laughter, thank God for it. Because if there was not the capacity to laugh, I don't know what the human experience would have been. Good evening, welcome to Politics 101. We will continue to speak truth to power and to speak truth to hypocrites and to speak truth to inconsistency, but most importantly, to speak truth to you, our supporters. A man calling himself the leader of a country bulldoze poor people's homes and said, I did it because I did not want to look weak. Are you hear that? I'll just remember plenty things that Jack Dio said and Irfan Ali said, but I want you all to remember what that man said, Irfan Ali. He bulldozed black people home because he didn't want to appear weak. Therefore, he bulldozed black people's home because he wanted to appear strong. That statement is going to guide and is guiding my attitude to the government here on. There's no good governance there. It's governance by bullyism. Because only bullies are concerned about whether they appear weak or strong. Self-defense. Self-defense is the order of the day for African Guyanese. And the first act of self-defense is to lift your hands and your hearts and show your numbers. Well, you didn't want to go on the road before, or you got to prepare to go on the road now. Not going the road in tens and twenties, but thousands. First act of self-defense is a show of numbers. Good evening. Welcome to Politics 101. Good evening. We come on here tonight. We just learned that the Church of England, the Anglican Church, the English Church of England, has admitted its role in slavery, admitted its role in slavery. The Church of England has admitted its role in slavery, and it has set aside $121 million to establish a fund to compensate for its participation in and benefit from the transatlantic slave trade. We come on air with that news. As a black man, as a Guyanese, a Caribbean national, as a member of the Anglican Church, I welcome that news. Not the amount of money. I welcome the news because the church has admitted its role. It has admitted that a business connected to the church was in the business of buying and selling slaves, and that the church itself had over 400 slaves in the Caribbean, which they only got rid of in 1833. Late, but never too late. We're going to be covering that next week. But tonight, while the Anglican Church is admitting its role in the demolition of the African spirit, a government in Guyana in 2022 is engaging in the very demolition of African physical homes and their souls. We are not making sport with them. We're not making sport with them. Good evening. Let me bring in my guest, my brother. I know I've been talking too much on this issue. We're talking a lot. I hope it's not too much because we're not making sport. You demolish homes in Linden, Pastor London warned us. We didn't pay attention. We cover it and we done. You demolish people, stands, their stalls, their caravans in front of the hospital. We made some noise. And then a week later, you demolish in the most ugly way the homes of people in the Amstel. We're not making sport. Good evening, Brother London.
Greetings to you, Dr. Hines, and to those who are joining on this platform. Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to join you. I would have, however, would have been happy to join you under different circumstances. Nonetheless, this is also important, hence I'm glad to be here.
I will not question you. I will say, Linden, in front of the hospital, Mocha, talk to me.
I appreciate that. Before I speak to Mocha, or in speaking to Mocha, I would like to read for those who are tuned in live and those who may view this on the rebroadcast, a replay. The crux, or I should say the essence of what the people I call wannabe elitists are made of and what they give. I read a letter for you, Ministry of Home Affairs, January 10, dated 2023. The letter is directed to Miss LaShonda Ellis, Data Entry Clerk, through the Head of Information Systems. Dear Miss Ellis, I wish to inform you that approval has been given for you to be dismissed from the public service with effect from January 5, 2023 inclusive, for acting in a manner that will bring the ministry into disrepute. Yours sincerely, Eureka Duncan, Principal Personal Officer for May Thomas, Permanent Secretary. Copy to the Commissioner of Police Acting, Officer in charge of Providence Police Station, Principal Assistant Secretary, Accountant General, and Auditor General. May I inform you all that Miss LaShonda Ellis happens to be one of the residents whose property was demolished. And the reward that she got after Irfan Ali would have issued his dribble for a statement is that she's now terminated because she stood in defense of her property. I would like, and I would have read that, to conflate it with what happened in Linden when I stood outside of a place of care, should be the Linden Hospital Complex, and watched sick patients and their relatives being locked out of a hospital because somebody named Frank Anthony would have issued an order that they were not allowed to enter a healthcare facility because they were unvaccinated or they did not produce a PCR test, which at that time was worth $25,000. When you have got anyone deemed to be a leader exhibiting that degree of callousness, it speaks highly to what one should expect on any given day. What would be the cause for someone who claimed to care about us, Dr. Hines, to say that even when I watch an unconscious baby being taken to the hospital, what would be the cause for someone who says they care to lock that parent or the parents of the child out, lock the doctors out, and say the nurses as well, none of y'all can come in here. So in essence, whoever has to die will die in here because we care about you. In Mocha, and I hear every so often persons make mention of the houses or the homes. There were businesses there as well. And I spoke warning this nation of the economic, what I call genocide, that this PPP civic administration at the top tier is executing against Guyanese, especially of African descent. In both instances, Mocha Arcadia and Linden, the predominant ethnicity would be those of African ancestry. It is impossible to love anyone and be as unkind and uncaring, even in the midst of or the face of recordings in reference to video. When there's such glaring evidences that can be had at the top of a screen, and persons do not care whether that is published to the world, it tells me then that their care is more about how much they can crush a community of people rather than how much they care for that community of people. And we have to be very, very passionate in our address. So hence, Dr. Hines, I say that you're not speaking too much on this matter. If you ask me, you should speak a lot more on this. Maybe that would encourage others to come out from their places of the caves of hypocrisy to address this in a manner that should be addressed. There are communities and there's an ethnicity that's being targeted. And what are the chances that in both instances, Linden and Mocha Arcadia, individuals who the administration claim to love are treated as if they are worth nothing? We must, it is imperative that we take a stance against this behavior.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much. And thank you for bringing that perspective. I'll ask you to do something for me. I want you to please read that dismissal letter. This is the first time I'm hearing of it. Nobody has sent it my way. This is the young lady, the one whose business was destroyed?
No, I think this one is the mother. One of the mothers who
is the mother.
Yeah, I think that's the mother.
The mother of
a young child. I think it's the mother. I have to get to the depth of this, but I'm an employee of the Ministry of Home Affairs.
Of Home Affairs.
She's a resident. One of the residents. I shall.
Yes.
This letter comes from the
one of the residents. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Please read that letter again for us.
I shall. And just for those who, if they could have seen it, this is it right here. Ministry of Home Affairs, dated January 10, 2023. Addressed to Ms. LaShonda Ellis, a data entry clerk, through the head of information systems. Dear Ms. Ellis, I wish to inform you that approval has been given for you to be dismissed from the public service with effect from January 5, 2023 inclusive, for acting in a manner that will bring the ministry into disrepute. Yours sincerely, Miss Eureka Duncan, Principal Personnel Officer for Maid Thomas, Permanent Secretary, copied to the Commissioner of Police Acting, Officer in charge of Providence Police Station, Principal, Assistant Secretary, Accountant General, and Auditor General. The Commissioner of Police is informed that a public servant is fired.
Brother London, this is one of the persons whose homes was destroyed.
Yes.
Who was employed in the public service and is dismissed. No offense is listed in that letter of dismissal.
Pardon me.
All it says is that she brought.
No, the offense is not that she has brought, the offense that she will bring. Her actions will bring the ministry into this, which means they have assessed futuristically. So now people in Guyana are being, this young lady, an African descendant, is being fired because there's a prophetic voice in the Ministry of Home Affairs that says you haven't brought disrepute, but you will do it at some time in the future based on your actions past. That's the kind of asininity we have in our nation. And may I please, if I can, say that even if her house was not destroyed, but she was in Mocha Arcadia speaking on behalf of those whose houses were being destroyed, what is the crime? What is the wrong? Where did she go wrong?
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much, my brother. I want to say it to the government tonight. I want to say to supporters of the government tonight. That if this is not racial oppression, what is? I want to say to the international community, the ABCE countries who are urging opposition leaders not to take their people onto the street. What are you all saying now? Why should we black people, African people in Guyana, not respond in some form of fashion against this? You take away economic livelihood from our people. You brutalize them, and then you take away employment from them. What? You are telling our leaders not to take to the streets. Good evening, Lincoln Lewis.
Good evening, David. Good evening, Nigel, and the viewers,
You've lived
brothers
long
and
enough,
sisters who are here.
and you've been in the struggle long enough. We got in some, you fought something there? Yes, tell them
I'm not getting you there, David.
are not available.
I am available.
Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you now, my brother. Me? Yes, I'm hearing you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Lincoln, you've lived long enough. You've seen our people, our African people, in their ups and their downs. You yourself, in an individual capacity, as I confront land grabbing and bullyism, when you looked at what happened and what continues to happen, the images in Mocha, Arcadia. Talk to me.
They're troubling, David. Very troubling. It tells me that we are retrogressing. We are now under not merely siege, but we are here being recolonized. And those who resist recolonization, we are going to bring, there's a process to bring those persons to their knees. We're going to break your house down. We're going to break your business down. You'll either conform to what we are saying, or you live in the streets and be subjected to perpetual poverty. What has happened at Mocha, Arcadia has to be of concern to every decent Guyanese, every human being. I've never seen what I am seeing now. As an advocate over the years, what I'm seeing now is different to what I've seen all the way coming through. It is not only the breaking down, the demolishing of these people's homes. What they're saying to those people is that, look, in the first instance, if you move, we are going to put you into a situation where you will be subjected or subjected to what we have circumscribed for you. These people that they are moving here, some of them have been there for 30 plus years. They have built their homes. They have built their businesses. And yet at the same time, you want to tell them, I'm going to move you. I'm going to get you a small house somewhere with no land for me no land or opportunity for me to continue my economic pursuit. For them to do it so, they have decided that it will not happen. And if you don't take it, we'll break you down. We'll destroy everything that you have. And what is instructive? That while they broke these houses down, they destroyed the other property that form a part of their businesses. Whether it is animals or beer, rice, and what have you. It is something that we can't sit back and allow to happen. For all those brothers and sisters who are in the government, who sit there as they trample on the rest of us. When we call you our slaves, you get annoyed. What are you doing? It is when they are finished with everyone, you don't expect that they're going to turn on you. To those who are leaders in the churches and civil society that are either colluding with them, or even when you remain silent is a part of acceptance and can be seen as collusion. When are we going to wake up? For many of us, we find energy to fight those voices that come out against what is taking place. For many of them, they find reason to justify what the government is. What the hell you can do that? Guyanese have to rise up. And you have to rise up against the oppressors. We have to rise up against those who are elected to privileged position and are using our strength to pull the lever of our strength and goodwill in pulling the lever of a state to discriminate against a group. Something has to be done.
Lincoln, as you went on, Brother London was reading a letter where one of the victims at Mocha was being fired by the Ministry of Affairs. You're a trade unionist. Let's hear your perspective. One of the victims at Mocha is being fired for, in the future, it seems, bringing the ministry into disrepute. First of all, have you heard of that firing? And what's your take on it?
It was brought to my attention this afternoon by one of our staff that this issue occurred, this incident occurred. It is a fact. and I got no reason to doubt. I had no reason to doubt that stuff. What I saw, what Nigel, I heard what Nigel read there. Let me tell you something. These people flying past the nest. Too many of us, I'm saying, taking things for granted. We have to band ourselves together. We have to defend the clan, the tribe. We got to defend it. These people walking into people's community and do as they like. And they could have only do that.
Self-defense.
Because we have not challenged them in the streets. Let me tell you what. An oppressor will never accept that he's oppressing you. Because it is a part of the DNA of the oppressor to oppress people. And this thing here where we believe that we should not go in the street and people telling us we have to find other ways to protest. To hell was it. We have to protest.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Brother Lincoln. Let me say some things here before my next question to you all. I agree that we need to go on the streets, and I agree, and we need to go on the streets in our thousands. And I challenge the opposition, all of the opposition. I challenge the opposition parties that you all have to step up now. Because if the opposition does not step up, no, I'm going to change my attitude. My attitude to the political opposition has been that I am not criticizing you in public because I don't want to divide our people. But now, I am challenging the opposition, in particular the main opposition, that you all got to go on the road and react to this. Or I may have to change my attitude to you. Attitude. I have invited opposition parliamentarians to come onto this program since last Thursday to talk about Mocha. They have not come on yet. I'm waiting on them. I have invited opposition parliamentarians, APNU parliamentarians to come on to this program since last week. 1 week ago, they haven't come on yet. You all know, don't criticize the opposition. But on this issue, I'm not playing. And I've sent in at least one case 2 invitations. If they allow this to pass without any meaningful action, I will have to change my attitude. It's not a threat.
You better start changing it. You better start changing it because the opposition. You better start changing it because the opposition saying that we have to find other ways to protest. Let me tell you something. They can't lock up. They can't lock up all of us if we go.
The opposition announced today that it's going to court. Your reaction, Brother Nigel?
Thank you and I appreciate it. I must say that I'm grateful for the passion that still exists in Mr. Lewis because it's missing from my generation and from the generation that is younger than I am. When I heard that the opposition said they're going to court, for one, I'm thankful, and I say this without reservation, that I have never voted for any one of these people since I voted for Hoyt, and that was the last time I ever voted. because I saw a game in our society that I wasn't prepared to live with, whereby persons would benefit from the votes of the population, and then they do not fight for the rights of the said population, nor do they give the true meaning of democracy a chance to thrive in Guyana or to be seen in this country. Hence, I didn't vote. And I'm saying that to say this. When I, in my passion for good governance, look to the opposition in this case to say you should stand for the right of a community that is known to be supporting you in reference to electoral demographics. Now I'm hearing that they plan to go to court. What statement can be made to the PPP Civic Administration by going to court with a group of people who have no regard for the law, who in their mind can control any arm of society in reference to the administration of this country? I don't have an issue with anyone taken to the court because everybody has a right to redress. What I have an issue with is when the right for your numbers to be seen on the streets of this country is removed entirely in the name of approaching the court for relief. While they wait for a judge to determine a date as to when the matter would be heard, individuals still have to weep and wail about the loss of their livelihood, about the loss of their peace of mind. Our children are traumatized. I say this without reservation. Our children were terrorized in Mocha, Arcadia, African descendants. Mothers were terrorized by the hands of the state. What can a court tell me if I have to wait for 3 months to hear the matter, or 2 months to hear opening statements or disclosures and all kinds of nonsense? I am saying that if you want to approach the court, approach it while you are on the streets of Guyana, saying we are not tolerating this against African descendants. It is not by accident that the United Nations said that for 10 years, they will devote their attention to those who look like you and me. It is not by accident that Irfan Ali went and couldn't even pronounce the word reparative. And he went further to the UK to say that he demands on our behalf reparation, which is why I said then, and I'll say it now. Irfan Ali, Bara Jagdeo, Anil Nandalal cannot speak for me as an African. They could choose somebody else to talk. Probably some others may stand a chance. But the three of them, they can't risk talking for me as an African. You are disqualified from speaking for me as an African man. I don't want to hear anything in court. Because going to the court is not good governance if you are not on the street.
Apostle London saying yes to the court, but while you're on the street. I'm clearer than that. I put on the screen there, MP Nima flew best. She said this will not pass. And I want to say, you all know, I don't hide when I politically like somebody. I said on this program that my view of what an MP ought to be doing in this time, I said the MP should be activists. And this young lady, I think, is an example of what a member of parliament ought to be doing. When I invited her to come on last week, she instantly came on. She was in her car, her phone was dying. And she came on to speak to the viciousness and the violence against our people. But when I called on them, and I still can't make it. I have been nice. I have defended members of parliament from the APNU because I know the pressure that they're under. But on this issue, if you cannot come out and true to power, I am going to change my attitude. I still love you all. I still love you all. But if you all can't find an hour to come to speak on the various platforms, my attitude will change. Lincoln Lewis, your reaction
David Hines.
to
David Hines.
the opposition going to court.
David Hines.
Yes, go ahead. Yes.
Nigel London. We have to fight at all fronts. And I agree that we can go to court. But I equally agree with you that we have to fight on the ground. MP flew best. We don't make member of parliament and women like them any longer. She's a special breed. She put a lot of people in the shades. And I want to go around. Keep the fire burning. Run with that torch and let us all follow her. You know something? In 2022, early 2022, when they were considering to pull who will be the next MP and who will be replaced, she was one who was listed to be replaced. We got to stop and think. We got to stop the bad mind politics. And look at how we are going to pull the brakes on this runaway train. Look at how we are going to put systems in place to have a government that is prepared to listen to people across the spectrum and address our concerns. Let me tell you what. I always believe, and I always say it in fact, that a law is dead at its heart unless it's activated by people. The law book can say that the government can take a piece of land, private property, to deal with something for the state. But the Constitution still talk. They got to talk with people. Article 13 of the Constitution speaks about inclusionary democracy. And he said anything that affects my economic, social, and political well-being, I need to be involved. I don't need to be dictated to. If we understand the principles upon which these laws are to be activated, then none of us should be embracing arbitrary confiscation of property. Last week, let me just give you an example. Last week, the president says that the oil and gas industry, we can't look for the citizens can't look for tax transfer even when we are at the highest point of pumping oil. But he and a couple of them can determine, and they believe that they have the right to determine what me must get, what you must get, and what the other person must get, and what they must give to their friends. Is this right? Is that the way the law operates? Bring you back to the land. I want to tell you something. This is naked racism. They will not go to another community, except it's an African community, and confiscate land. Check all around the place. And secondly, wherever, even if they consider it to be squatting, where other people are involved in numbers, what they do is that they regularize them. Seek ways and means to regularize them. We have to fight, brothers.
Lincoln Lewis.
And I want to tell you something, as we fight, gentlemen, understand, some of our people will become casualty in this whole thing. This is about generations to come. Let me tell you something, my brother. I believe strongly about land. Land is generational wealth. And when you take away people's land, is that you take away the wealth of generations to come. We got to fight. We have to fight.
We've got to fight.
We cannot give
and
up.
we've been saying that on this program for the last 2 weeks, that we've got to fight. We are calling on the official opposition because you have the capacity to mobilize people, because you got 200,000 of the people's vote and more. We are calling on you to put our people on the road in self-defense. You can't.
Let me suggest this, David. Let me suggest.
Hold on, Lincoln. Yes, go ahead.
Let me suggest this. We have to have a united force. A force which includes all past and present leaders out there. Everybody, even if we got a common stretcher and wheelchair.
Mobilize 20, 30, 40,000 people and take them to Mocha. Take them to Mocha, not Georgetown.
Exactly.
Take them to Mocha.
You see,
Let me tell you something.
Scene of the crime.
Yes, David. We had an opportunity last week. We had an opportunity last week. Let me tell you the opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, if or if the political leaders or leader had marched those people from Mocha to Georgetown, you know what would have happened? You would have been picking up from the communities coming through. You would have been putting the government under severe pressure. People frightened.
Brother London?
If permit me, please, because I would not want any viewer to miss what to me is the most critical in all of this, that there is an attachment between Mocha Arcadia and our ancestors or their ancestors. This is not just about African Guyanese being removed from a plot of land. There is significance to me when it comes to ancestry. And if anyone could be so disrespectful to history of African people, I cannot treat with them in a light, casual manner. I would not fail to inform the public that in the court of law, I think it's this year, last year, November, it was ruled in the Supreme Court that the native, the Amerindians, have a right to their land because of ancestry. That's what Roxanne George said. When person were given permits to mine just wantonly, she said, no, you can't do that. These people have got a cultural attachment to their land. So what happened to me? What happened to the Africans in Mocha? We don't have a cultural attachment to anything. You can just walk on our necks. So this must not be treated as if it's just a plot of land that was taken from a group of people for development. This has to have the history of Africans attached to it. And if Africans across Guyana cannot see that there's an onslaught even against your culture, you are a liability to this nation and to your own people. Your ancestors should be ashamed of you.
Your ancestors should shame the Black people, African people, where you are. Stand up. Arise, African, arise. Arise, Black people, arise. You have nothing more to worry about. You've seen battle at its worst. This is not about squatting, as I said last night, to mainly Indian audience. This is not about squatting. This is about the contestation of power. Do we not have the power what we want to do on God's earth, that piece of land is watered with the blood of black people. It's littered with the bones of our ancestors. And you say you want to take that land for public use. And those people part of the public, let them get what benefit comes with that land that is near the highway. We know that when there is land near to a thoroughfare, the real estate goes up. People have the opportunity to generate wealth. Who are you taking my land to give to? Am I not? Are we not? Are we not human enough to accumulate the wealth that comes from the location of that land? Mr. Divider, Mr. Bulldozer, Mr. Strongman, are we not worthy? Are we not worthy? The only people who can decide that is black people. And if bulldozers offend you, offend them back. Pure and simple. We have to create our own bulldozers of self-defense. We are confronted with evil bulldozers, bulldozers of oppression. We have to create our bulldozers of self-defense. I'm calling on you, Mr. Opposition Leader. You are my friend. I'm calling on you in your capacity as the leader of black people, the official electoral leader of black people. Come out of the shadows, Aubrey. You and your party have a right to defend these people. Yes, my brother.
Please permit me, because I listened to, thank you, sir. I listened to the opposition leader speak because I'm interested in good governance. I listened to Ali speak, I listened to the opposition leader speak. And he said that efforts were made for the people to be represented by their members of parliament because Mocha is known to be a PNC stronghold or Apnea FC supporting group. Now, hold on. If Norton is told that the PPP is saying we are not going to engage the people through representation, even they shouldn't have had a chance to have any excavator started, because if people constitutionally can be represented in reference to their governance, how can any minister in the PPP tell them, we are not going to speak to your representatives, we'll talk to you directly? That in itself spoke to war against the people, because they know that representatives within the Apnea FC coalition are attorneys and the like. So they're saying, we are not speaking to any representatives. We're talking to you as an individual. And then in speaking to them as an individual, you bulldoze their property, destroy their houses, destroy even their stock in their shop. Because at the end of the day, they have no regard for the representatives of the people. That is poor governance. And that is not what the Constitution requires. What I would have expected is for Apnea FC to say, well, if you're not going to allow us to represent our people, you would not be building any road here. We stop all the work from happening until we represent our people. Even that didn't happen. So what else has to be done to our people for us for people to act? Africans deserve protection.
I want to tell you something.
Go ahead, Lincoln.
Let me tell you something. The government, with its 1/3, the PPP, has a history where if they want to do something in the National Assembly, they will engage the opposition. Anything that requires a 2/3 majority, they will engage the opposition. And when they get that and it's finished, they go right back to the normal modus operandi, where they will use their simple majority to ram everything through the parliament. I have said to a number of political leaders, stay out of that National Assembly, because what you do is giving credibility to what the government is doing. The government is saying you were there when these decisions were made. Stay out from that place. Let them talk to themselves on the wall, because you will get nothing. Let me tell you this. In 2022, February, I've been talking with some comrades. One of them called me a couple of days ago, and he said, you were right. I said to him that the opposition will achieve nothing in the National Assembly for the entire life of this government, unless they stay out and make the street and the communities the parliament. But I don't understand why people want to do, why these guys want to go in there. I don't understand in a month of Sundays why they want to go in that place. They go with a motion, and Mansour Nadir, who is the speaker, tells you, say to them, it's not urgent, and put it aside. You can't do anything but just talk. And if you perform the way Sherrod and the others perform, they will ban you for some time from the National Assembly. You are getting banned, is that you stay out. Leave them, let them talk. Leave them, let them talk. They have to devise other strategy to deal with this. Let me tell you something. As one come to tell me last week, Tuesday, he said, man, what the trade union doing? Are they call a strike now? We said, yes, we can call a strike. But civil disobedience is more than just a strike. It requires also the involvement and support of the communities within which we operate. You guys are the elected people. You are the politicians. David Talk, you get 270,000 votes. Let us hold hands and let we fight. But they don't want to hold hands and fight. They want to ask you to go there. They always find a scapegoat. Let me tell you something, gentlemen. When I had the challenges with my ancestral land at Kingley and the West Coast of Belize, I didn't hear from many. I didn't hear from many. I can count the people them who I hear from and the people who visit me for the 7 weeks I've been out there. Vincent Alexander, Mayor Robertson, Roysdale Ford, Coretta McDonald, Calvin London, Leland Saul. I ain't see people. Everybody stay at a distance. And I guess that many of them were wishing that I be trampled. That's how they operate.
Lincoln Lewis sounding the bell here tonight, as many of us are doing, and saying, as the member of parliament said, this too, and this will not pass. This will not pass. She's reporting that yesterday they continued digging the site and burying the evidence. They're still continuing. They're still going there They were digging over in people cattle. So it's not just the demolition of the homes, it's that they continue in the morning after, burying the evidence, burying people's cattle, knocking off people from ministry. My brothers and sisters, all you get up.
Hey, David, David, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I had a cousin named, my grandmother had a first cousin named Freddie Kameka. He was killed. He was killed in the Abari. It broke down to manslaughter. And the father and son served jail sentence, short jail sentences. I tell you something. I lived to see as a little boy, hear with me on our ears, when the father was dying, he was shouting, he hollering when he see death. And the son died under mysterious circumstances. They finally dead at farm. I'm raising this to tell them that when you sow the wind, there are times in life you reap the whirlwind. They better stop doing this nonsense.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear Brother Lincoln. You know, what we are doing here is, as I said, what leaders must do. You must inspire your people. You must inspire your people. I'm not asking leaders to go and do the struggle for people. You must inspire your people, and there are ways and means of inspiring. You see, the government said, what we are doing here is inciting. But the enemy sees it as inciting. But this is inspiring our people to say you are human beings. You ought not to be treated like hogs, hunted and penned in an inglorious spot, according to the poet Claude McKay. Claude McKay said, if you must die, then let us nobly die, that even the monsters we now defy can be constrained to honor us, though dead. And he ended by saying, and for their 1,000 blows, let us deal one death blow. We ought not to be afraid of the threats to lock us up, because we are speaking truth. Brother Stokely Carmichael, on that afternoon, that evening, when he first uttered the term Black Power, he took the microphone and he said to the crowd, after today, all scared niggers are dead. Saying here tonight, all scared African Guyanese are dead. Put away fear and confront these monsters. Brother London, closing thoughts.
I appreciate it. Thank you, and my time here with you has certainly been well spent. I say without reservation that I have no issue, and I've called for it since I was protesting against being treated as though I were not human, when person were telling me what I can take into my body and not take. And I said that I have no issue being arrested. I normally I would go to officers when I was through with my public protest and say, I'm here. I'm here. If you wish to arrest me, you're free to do so, because I'm standing for you. And I say yet again, I have no fear with arrest or death or any such thing, as long as it comes in the name of justice and what is right by the people of this nation. This is not a call that I'm making that should be deemed one that is racist in its origin, because some people need to hear this every so often. It is right in its origin. I have a right to speak to that which even the United Nations would have agreed to, which is the plight of the African ancestors, the descendants, and what they have suffered for centuries. I further say this in closing. I dare anyone to name from me one ethnic group or any tribe across this world that would have sat and allowed their ancestral land to be taken from them while they just rolled over and said nothing. It is within a people historically, when it comes to the land of their foreparents, to fight for it, because attached to that is culture, great traditions, heritage, and even fond memories of stories being told of the said land. We are no different. African descendants have every right to Mocha Arcadia. And I'm very, very upset with those who say that they're squatting. Even as Guyanese, I say, you cannot tell me I squat anywhere unless that land is privately owned by an individual who have paid their due. I can't squat on what belongs to me. If it is called state land, I can't squat on what is the state land because I'm the state. I make up the state. So let us hastily change the culture of labeling people, because I would not forget that there were people who were living on land owned by a private citizen in this country, an individual. And Anil Nandaland was there to give them leases or give them titles to say, after 30 plus years of being on this land, you don't have the right to be there. Now, after 30 plus years of being on my ancestors' land, I don't have a right to be there. Finally, I say that whenever the concept of eminent domain is being invoked, Guyanese must be informed that it carries with it compensation, not just evaluation of the cost of a property. Compensation means whatever cost I will incur to move, you have to facilitate that. I cannot see somebody planting a garden, for example, and they're told they have to leave this plot of land and go to her stelling. Leave your ancestor and go to her stelling. The garden will I have to plant again. The land has to be assessed as to whether it can facilitate my farming or my agricultural practices. If it cannot, then I have to be compensated for that inconvenience. If I have to move from there to go to a smaller house, I must say whether it is okay for me to do so, because you're reducing my standard of living. And these are all important points for us to note. But most importantly, I would say that this is, by the UN's declaration, the decade devoted to those of African ancestry. You will respect us, or we will make you respect us. And that is my position. It wouldn't change. We will make you respect us.
Thank you very much, my brother. Brother Lincoln, closing thoughts?
I believe that.
Brother Lincoln, closing thoughts.
Yes, my brother. I believe that the time has come long ago for us to do some things that are necessary. And as we talk that we need to move forward, we need a greater sense of collaboration to make sure that these people do things and make sure that these people respect the laws of this land. We cannot tell people, as a trade unionist, I will never tell people, workers, that they ought not to strike, or strike is not necessary at this time. If I say that, then I am pulling out. I am abandoning. I'm destroying the most potent weapon in the artillery of the trade union. To tell people that they cannot protest. To tell supporters that they cannot protest is to immobilize the struggle of workers and citizens of this country. Good night. May you enjoy the rest of the week.
And thank you all, brothers, for coming on and shining the light brightly tonight, raising the banner of Ethiopia aloft, proclaiming the African humanity. And to our East Indian brothers and sisters in the audience, those who stand with us, as those Amerindians and Chinese and Portuguese who stand with us, I want to hail you up because you are exhibiting courage as exemplified by the mayor of Georgetown. The mayor of Georgetown, an honorable man. When you have the courage to come out of the belly of your own and enter the belly of the other and grieve with them and stand with them and vow to fight with them, you are a hero. And as I said, I apologize for not always speaking directly to our Indian brothers and sisters who stand with us. And I'll make sure I do that more often. And I do that tonight. You all have come out there in your numbers, you come in peace. We have work to do over the weekend. Pressure your political party. Pressure the PNC. Pressure Mr. Norton. Pressure the MPs. And let them know that Black people vote for them. And this is not about political correctness. If our dignity is crushed in 2022, who the hell would vote for you in 2025? Who the hell would vote for you in 2025? Step out of your inaction. I have defended you long enough. No. When the other man is saying, I am not going to be weak, you are appearing weak. You gotta say the same thing. I am no longer gonna be weak. That's my message. That's my message. That's my message. That's my message. I want to thank you, Sean. I want to thank Neville for your contributions. Thank you very much. Our work is steep, and thanks for supporting the work we are doing. And we got to work over the weekend. We cannot kick back, sit back, and let this happen. We cannot. We must not. It's inhuman to do so. We have work to do over the weekend. The Anglican Church has admitted its role in the transatlantic slave trade. It has set up a fund starting with $121 million. The Anglican Church, I'm an Anglican. I'm an Anglican. And I'm glad that they have come to their senses. But at the time when people are apologizing and recognizing the evil that they did during slavery, we have a government trying to send us back into slavery. Irony. But we must not, shall not allow them to do that. Fight back. Fight back. Back to back, belly to belly, are done dead already.